is what I want to talk about with chiropractic. When you talk about chiropractic, it seems like there is these, let's pop everybody, and that's what chiropractic is. And if your spine is in alignment and you're unsubluxated, then hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. The truth goes marching on. And then there's the other side who goes, research says that manipulation does nothing, but I'm also a chiropractor. And so like, and there's like those two. And there are people that are not really either of those two. And there are other ways that people practice chiropractic that I don't think is as in the conversation about that sort of chiropractor is not as common among people, although those chiropractors do certainly exist. That type of practice is not common or popularly understood, if that makes any sense. So when you try to say I'm a chiropractor but not chiropractic, you end up being tossed on a black or a white team, red team, blue team, whatever. And I think it would be great to have a conversation about some more nuanced ways to practice chiropractic, because these research people seem to draw a hard line in the sand when they say no manipulation. And if you cross that line, you're the enemy, and what you're doing, you're a bad doctor. And I think it's more nuanced than that. And I think that's what we were trying to say. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I feel like, you've heard me say this about when I'm in the US, I feel like I'm always bashing the US. And then when I'm in Europe, for example, or not in the United States, I feel like I'm always defending the United States. And that's because
you did say that,
when you're in the land of the United States, it feels like you're constantly pointing out the things that are the flaws in the country, because everybody thinks maybe it's the greatest country in the world. It's just automatic axiom that we're supposed to accept as nationalists. And then, but when I leave the country, it's like people don't really have a real, actual good understanding of the United States. They just, a lot of it's on stereotypes, or it's on a certain state or city, or even just one president or something. So I feel like I'm always defending the United States. And I feel like with chiropractic, it's the same way. Around some people, I feel like I'm defending chiropractic because of their presuppositions about it. But then within the field sometimes, or within my profession and talking to the professionals, I'm often bashing chiropractic. So I think it's just the angle at which we are discussing it. I can defend it and I can bash it.
Yeah.
And that's all I was kind of saying was that, I mean, I don't mind the chiro that just graduates and puts his head down and just stays within his lane of like, I just manipulate. They don't have any amazing claims about what it does. I remember when I was deciding to go to medical school instead of chiro school, I was already in chiro school, and my mom just said something weird. She was like, "Oh, that sounds great, but people love their chiropractors. Nobody loves their doctor." And I was like, okay, I don't really care about that sentence, even though that is true. But it was something I obviously still remember her saying. And that is the case. Like, people love their chiropractor. Like, they love them sometimes, like the masseuse, like they go, they get adjusted. Maybe they get asked about how their day and their week was. They get touched, physical touch. Maybe they get a foot bath and they get some e-stim or whatever else, that the research does not support at all. But when the person leaves, they have the sense of well-being and they just love going. Like, there is
they get
nothing
cared for,
wrong
man.
with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
They get good care.
That's a good thing. And what of course we don't like is when they, like, I don't like chiropractors that bash PTs and bash medicine and also have preposterous claims about the nervous system, or especially far out claims about how you don't need other forms of therapy because you just need this, or it can help with your mitochondria, which will avoid cancer, or whatever else,
but
preposterous claims.
Then this is what I was saying to Mark following that point. I said, but I don't think there are bad actors. Like, I don't think there are chiropractic bad actors. There are some bad actors out there, but I think there's not as many bad actors as you think. You know what I mean? Like, I do think people mostly think their way to help people is the way to help people. And they're like, this is the best frame of mind I have to figure out how to help you. I think that these things I'm doing are going to help you. And maybe they just didn't hear the research, and if they did, and most doctors don't have time to keep researching. Most doctors like have lives and have families, and like chiropractic is a job that they go to, and they do their CEUs every year. That's what they're for. They're boring for most of us. We want, like, I want to go to these fun courses, but like these CEUs are there to keep you up to date. And so if you get your 16 hours of CEUs, I mean, I think that then you're fine. And there are doctors that are 10, 20 years older than us, have been practicing longer, and they're fine people. They're lovely people. And they'll probably never hear this podcast, and that's great too. But there's not as many bad actor chiropractors as I think how I portrayed it on Mark Bell. Like, I think they're very few. I think most people are just trying to help people.
Yeah, I do agree, but I still think there's more of that kind of, like, how there used to be real racism and now we call it, like, there's still real racism, but there's also what we call this like modern racism. It's like, like my grandma, she's not gonna do anything to hurt anybody, a black person or anything, but she maybe is not going to vote for Obama, and that's because he's black. That's like modern racism. It's like it's still in you a little bit, and that's what I mean. Some of these, I do think a lot of chiros know better enough to say, like one of the terrible things is when you have no idea what's wrong with this person. Like, if you're the spine person, the manipulator, and somebody comes in with like a meniscus injury, and you just want to talk, you don't even co-manage them. You don't say, well, okay, well, we also need a PT to do your rehab for your knee, but I still recommend you come here because it's great for you to be here.
Yeah.
Instead, what they say is, well, if we line everything, that knee will probably get better on its own.
Yeah.
They come. That's when, I mean, that's like that modern racism, but that's like, better,
that's
but
interesting.
It's just like, you know what I mean? And I think that's what I would expect to be better from chiropractors, which is send it away more when they have more issues. Don't rebook them for 30 visits when the last 30 have not gone well, or their problem has not changed. But otherwise, I mean, especially the person who's just super stoked to come in, get treated, I'll see you in 6 weeks. Those people, like, man, by all means, by all means.
Great. Yeah, I agree. The
Next
chiropractic thing is a little bit more nuanced. I wanted to go into the next piece, actually. We were talking about shoes and barefoot feet and gait. We need to do that. I forgot to do housekeeping. Maybe you can edit this in to the very beginning. Okay, before we get started, we need to do a little bit of housekeeping. Now that I am working for myself, we have programs available. Wonderful programs written by Dr. Bobby Riley himself. Master program writer. He's considering a lot of things in the programs that you don't understand. He's sneaking a lot of principles into a really easily digest. You can do these movements. They're accessible. But then if you follow kind of the rep scheme and the progression of the exercise, the progression of the exercises are laid out in such a way that it'll be very easy to start. And then as you progress, you'll notice yourself getting better and better. And it'll be easy to go from one step to the next. And if you go forward too fast because you're a go-getter, that's fine. You can do that. But the exercises are sequentially kind of laid out to really kind of be a clinician. He puts 10 years of practice into this, 10 plus years. Shoot, it's almost like 12, I think. Into this program, he considers a lot of clinical things that from his experience, and he's trying to sneak these things in. He can't really explain exactly how you have to do it. If you do it, it's $35. It'll be linked below. I highly recommend the knee program and the ATP series. I made series 1, and it's a little bit esoteric. I'm also trying to sneak some things in, but not like Bobby is trying to sneak some things in. I think my program is good. I think his programs are excellent. I'll be making another shoulder program coming up here soon. I think we need to make a foot program based on the conversation you're about to hear. But those Bobby's programs are world class. The 35 stretch club. Thank you, Bobby. I do Stretch Club every week. I walk you through 3 major problems. We do 3 stretches for each problem: easy, medium, and hard. So we do a neck problem. I'll give you 3: an easy one, a medium, and a hard one. You do shoulder problem. We'll start with an easy one, then we go to a medium, and then we advance it. And then the last week we did hips. So I did easy hip movement that anybody could do. And then I progressed it to someone that most people could do, but it might be a little challenging. And then the 4th one actually wasn't too bad. This 4th one, it was just a little, you'd have to see it, I guess. You have to go to patreon.com/the anatomy of therapy to check it out. It's $25. I actually think we're going to start releasing the programs on the Patreon. Bobby has a newsletter he's putting together, come hell or high water. Even if he's out in that Wi-Fi in Wisconsin, he's gonna get it out. By God, send those programs. They're $35. Send it to your friend who needs it. It's a great gift. Make him do it. It's worth it. It's very well thought out. I highly recommend it. The Patreon is fine. It's cool. We're gonna put the programs on the Patreon. You're in for a great episode. I talk too much and Bobby levels things out. Here it comes.